Metal, machinery, and relentless assembly lines working day and night. These are the 20 most produced World War II tanks. In just a few brutal years of industrial mobilization, from factory floors to battlefields across 3 continents, witness the armored machines that rolled off production lines by the tens of thousands, fundamentally shaping the course of the war. Starting our countdown at number 20, we have the Type 97 Chiha. With approximately 2,100 units produced between 1938 and 1943, this became Japan's most widely used and recognizable medium tank throughout the Pacific War. Developed by Mitsubishi specifically to support infantry operations in China, it saw extensive action across every major Pacific theater engagement, from the jungles of Burma to the island battles of the Philippines and Okinawa. Though its 57mm main gun and relatively thin armor eventually struggled desperately against the heavier American Sherman tanks and British armor that dominated the later war years, it remained Japan's armored backbone, simply because nothing better was available in sufficient numbers. At number 19 is the M26 Pershing. Only approximately 2,200 were ever produced during the war, with merely about 200 seeing actual combat before VE Day in May 1945. This American heavy tank arrived tragically late, finally entering combat in February 1945 as the United States Army's answer to Germany's fearsome Panther and Tiger tanks. Bringing a powerful 90mm high-velocity gun and substantially heavier frontal armor than the Sherman, it finally gave American tankers a machine that could face German heavy armor on equal terms during the final desperate months of fighting across the Rhine and into Germany itself. Ranking 18th is the Type 95 Hago, with approximately 2,300 units produced from 1936 through 1943. This light tank became an absolute staple of the Imperial Japanese Army, serving in Manchuria, China, and throughout the Pacific campaigns. It was genuinely fast and maneuverable, but desperately thinly armored, vulnerable even to heavy machine gun fire at close range. Fun fact, Japanese crews sometimes painted fierce tiger faces on the front armor to psychologically intimidate enemies, despite this tank being among the smallest and most lightly protected armored vehicles deployed by any major combatant during the war. Coming in at number 17 is the Matilda II, with 2,987 produced between 1938 and 1943. Rightfully known as the Queen of the Desert, this British infantry tank's exceptionally heavy armor made it nearly immune to Italian anti-tank guns and early German 37mm and 50mm weapons during the crucial early stages of the North African campaign in 1940 to 1941. Matildas spearheaded the devastating Operation Compass offensive that destroyed multiple Italian armies, though they became increasingly vulnerable once German 88mm anti-aircraft guns were deployed in the anti-tank role. At number 16 sits the formidable Soviet IS-2 heavy tank, with 3,854 units produced from 1943 through the war's end. Named deliberately after Joseph Stalin himself, IS standing for Osif Stalin, this massive breakthrough tank was specifically designed as a sledgehammer to crack open German fortifications and destroy even the mighty Tiger and Panther tanks at ranges where Soviet medium tanks were helpless. Utilizing a massive 122mm gun that fired shells weighing 55 pounds, it could penetrate the frontal armor of any German tank and literally blow turrets off with single hits, though its slow rate of fire was a tactical limitation. Number 15 is the British Cromwell cruiser tank. Over 4,000 were constructed between 1933 and 1945, becoming famous primarily for exceptional speed thanks to the powerful Meteor engine, a detuned version of the legendary Rolls-Royce Merlin that powered Spitfires. Capable of nearly 40 miles per hour, it became one of the fastest and most mobile cruiser tanks of the entire late war period, serving with British armored reconnaissance regiments from D-Day through to Germany's surrender. Ranking 14th is the M24 Chaffee light tank, with 4,731 units produced from 1944 onward. Introduced specifically to replace the aging M3, M5 Stuart series, this American light tank featured substantially improved firepower with a 75mm gun, excellent torsion bar suspension providing superior cross-country mobility, and better crew comfort. It earned a genuine reputation among tankers and historians as perhaps the finest light tank design of the entire war, serving in Europe and the Pacific during the final year of combat. At number 13 is the Soviet KV series of heavy tanks, with approximately 5,200 total units produced between 1939 and 1943. When these massive armored monsters first appeared during the Winter War against Finland and then against Germany in June 1941, they absolutely shocked the Wehrmacht. Their extraordinarily thick armor, up to 110 millimeters in places, was virtually impenetrable to standard German 37 millimeter and 50 millimeter anti-tank guns of the period. Single KV-1s famously held up entire German divisions, though mechanical unreliability and the vehicle's excessive weight eventually led to production shifting to the lighter T-34.
Number 12 is the Crusader cruiser tank, with approximately 5,300 produced between 1941 and 1943. This British design became a primary armored asset during the desperate battles for North Africa throughout 1941-42. Highly valued by crews for its decent speed and relatively low profile that made it harder to spot in desert terrain, it nevertheless suffered from chronic mechanical reliability issues in the harsh desert environment. Overheating, suspension failures, and breakdowns plagued Crusader units throughout their service. Ranking 11th is the Churchill infantry tank, with 5,640 units produced from 1941 through 1945. Although painfully slow with a top speed of barely 15 miles per hour, this distinctively shaped British tank was exceptionally heavily armored and possessed incredible climbing abilities over obstacles that stopped other tanks completely. Fun fact, during testing, a Churchill successfully scaled a 45-degree slope, demonstrating cross-country performance that proved invaluable during the brutal fighting in Italy's mountainous terrain. Breaking into the top 10 at number 10 is the Panzer III, with 5,774 units built between 1939 and 1943. This medium tank served as the primary offensive workhorse of the German panzer divisions during the spectacular early Blitzkrieg campaigns across Poland, France, and into the Soviet Union. Designed specifically in the late 1930s to fight enemy tanks while the Panzer IV provided infantry support, it gradually became outclassed by Soviet T-34s and British Matildas, leading to its replacement in frontline service by 1943. At number 9 is the Soviet T-60 light tank. Born out of absolute desperation during the catastrophic summer and fall of 1941, approximately 5,920 of these small, simple scout tanks were rushed into production. Cheap and quick to manufacture using readily available automotive components, they kept the Red Army's decimated armored divisions populated with at least some tanks, while major factories were being frantically evacuated thousands of miles eastward ahead of the German advance. Number 8 is the fearsome Panther medium tank, with approximately 6,000 produced from 1943 through 1945. Often cited by historians and tankers as potentially the best overall tank design of the entire war, it brilliantly combined revolutionary sloped armor that dramatically increased protection, excellent mobility, and a supremely lethal 75mm high-velocity gun capable of destroying any Allied tank at long range. Fun fact, during the massive Battle of Kursk in July 1943, more Panthers were lost to mechanical breakdowns than to Soviet fire. Early production models suffered terrible reliability problems that took months to resolve. Ranking 7th is the M3 Lee and Grant medium tank, with 6,258 units produced in 1941-42. This was the same fundamental tank given different names: Lee when used by American forces, Grant when supplied to the British. This awkward stopgap design with its hull-mounted 75mm gun and small turret-mounted 37mm weapon provided desperately needed firepower to British forces in North Africa during 1942, before the superior Sherman could arrive in numbers, despite its ungainly appearance and high silhouette. At number 6 is the Soviet T-60 light tank. Soviet factories pumped out approximately 8,226 of these between 1942 and 1943 as a direct upgrade to the inadequate T-60. Using twin automobile engines to simplify production while still providing reasonable performance, it was designed primarily to support infantry attacks across the vast Eastern Front, though by 1943 even light tanks were becoming increasingly vulnerable to improved German anti-tank weapons. Number 5 is the Valentine infantry tank, with 8,275 built between 1940 and 1944. As the single most produced British tank design of the entire war, it was genuinely renowned for mechanical reliability and ease of maintenance. It saw extensive service not just with British and Commonwealth forces across North Africa and Italy, but also with the Soviet Union, which received over 3,000 through the Lend-Lease program and used them effectively on the Eastern Front. At number 4 is the legendary Panzer IV. Germany's absolute backbone medium tank saw approximately 8,800 roll-off assembly lines between 1938 and 1945, the only German tank design to remain in continuous production throughout the entire war. Constantly upgraded with thicker armor, more powerful guns, and improved suspensions to face increasingly powerful Allied armor threats, it evolved from a close support infantry tank to become Germany's main battle tank by 1943. Taking the bronze medal at number 3 is the American M3 and M5 Stuart light tank series. A staggering combined total of approximately 22,744 M3 and M5 variants hit battlefields worldwide between 1941 and 1945. Reliable, mechanically sound, and genuinely fast, British crews who received them through Lend-Lease affectionately nicknamed the Stuart Honey for its smooth handling and pleasant driving characteristics. It served in every theater from North Africa to the Pacific.
In second place is the absolutely iconic M4 Sherman medium tank. A truly massive 49,234 of these reliable workhorses flooded every Allied front from 1942 through war's end, literally powering the Allied coalition to ultimate victory through sheer numbers and mechanical dependability. While outgunned and less armored than German Panthers and Tigers, the Sherman's reliability, ease of maintenance, crew survivability, and overwhelming numerical superiority made it the most important Allied tank of the war. Fun fact, British tank crews specifically demanded that a boiling vessel for making tea be installed inside their Shermans, leading to the famous BV or boiling vessel that became standard equipment. And now the undisputed champion at number 1, towering above all others in both numbers and historical impact, is the Soviet T-34 series. An absolutely staggering 57,300 of these revolutionary war machines rolled out of Soviet factories between 1940 and 1945, more than any other single tank design in human history. Its groundbreaking combination of sloped armor that dramatically increased protection, a powerful 76mm gun later upgraded to 85mm, wide tracks for excellent mobility in mud and snow, and a diesel engine that was less flammable than gasoline literally shocked German forces when they first encountered it in 1941. The T-34's design forced Germany to completely rethink tank development, leading directly to the Panther and Tiger. Its rugged, simple design prioritized mass production and battlefield effectiveness over crew comfort. Fun fact, production was so desperately urgent during 1941 through 42 that many T-34s charged straight into battle wearing nothing but raw red primer paint, never receiving final finishing. The T-34 didn't just help win the war, it fundamentally changed armored warfare forever, establishing design principles that influenced tank development for decades.
These tanks were more than machines or production figures. Each one reflected hard choices made by nations under extreme pressure, built by exhausted workers, and crewed by young men who knew how deadly their odds were. Factories ran day and night despite hunger, bombing, and displacement, because failure meant defeat or annihilation. While these vehicles helped decide battles and the outcome of the war, they were ultimately just tools, often turning into steel coffins for those inside. Behind every number is a crew, and behind every crew is the same story: ordinary people asked to endure extraordinary danger, paying a human cost that statistics can never fully convey.